heard that the media was a lot nicer here in Charlotte. Is that still the case?
Well, yeah, it's definitely still the case. We'll see when the season progresses. But, I think just in general, the culture, the vibe out here has just been the Southern hospitality or whatever it is, just very, very, very nice. And that's just not just the media, but like people everywhere. So,
what was your perception of the franchise right before you came, and how has it changed in the past couple months here?
To be honest, I didn't really have much of a perception of the franchise. The only thing I knew until I really started researching more or having conversations was that Coach Silas was here, and I felt like that, because now that I've been on different teams and worked with a lot of different coaches, and like for him, the way that he works, the way he cares about the team and the players and how much he puts into it, I was just like, man, I feel like he wouldn't still be here if there weren't other people that were similar-minded. And then I talked to Coach and then met so many people from the front office to the players and the staff and security, and I don't say that as, like, seriously, security here are like really, really nice. Just everybody's just been so welcoming and stuff, and I've just kind of been blown away.
What you said the other day about Cliff, I read a quote from you to the effect of basically that when you had a discussion with Cliff, you felt really comfortable that he understood your game and you felt like he was going to give you a chance to be you on the court. Could you expand a little on what you were getting at that made that different from maybe other options?
Yeah, sure. I think, the surface level conversation is just like, a coach would be like, man, I really like the way that you attack the rim, and you're good at pick and roll. It's like, that's kind of who I am as a player, and that's like, that's a scouting report. But for him to be able to give me much more detailed stuff about, all right, defensively, I see you these are the intangibles that you have, and now it's about refining your technique, and in this game and in this situation, you did this, this, and this, which shows this. He's watched film, he understands, what I can do. He talked about, some of the passes and being able to make certain passes, and talked about like how I approach the game and some of my strengths and some of my weaknesses that were just so much more in depth. And somebody has to watch me for a decent amount to really understand some of the things that I feel like the large majority of people watching my game will never really understand, good and bad. So when I talked to him about that, I was just like, man, and this guy's like super honest, super upfront, and I just feel like that, to me, that was a big draw.
So you felt like he was more vested in you than maybe other people might have?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's very, very fair.
Last time you were here, you said your hair was a work in progress. So you happy with it now?
It's still a work in progress. It's getting to the point where it's like really hard to make it stick straight up, so I might have to just abandon it and go with something new. But the end product will be down the road.
Coach said he anticipated you having the biggest role you've had in your career since maybe you've been in New York. I mean, when you hear something like that, I mean, how excited does that get you?
Somebody else said that over there, but I didn't register it. But I didn't know that he had said that. They were just like, oh, it looks like you have the opportunity to do that. I didn't know that came from his mouth, but sweet, as a player, I just turned 27. Like, I feel like the last 3 years have, if I were to be very honest, just not the easiest years for me. I feel like I have a lot to give to the game, and I have a lot to give to the team, and I'm hoping it kind of materializes here.
And extra motivation those past few years provide?
I'm not sure if I would say extra motivation in terms of like, I love the game, and I can't, like, I'm equally motivated now as I was at any point in my career, and I actually believe that. To me, I would say much more grateful and understanding of, hey, look, like I got thrown into a perfect situation in New York. It didn't last for that long, but those type of situations, really not to take it for granted, and to really appreciate every moment, and not even just that, but just to be an NBA player. Like sometimes you lose sight of that, and for me, if you asked me when I was a senior in college, I wouldn't even thought I would be in the NBA. So.
Talk about your ability to play the one or the two, either one.
I played two growing up until high school, and then I played two all 4 years in college. So it's nothing new to me at all. Actually, when I first joined the league, part of my adjustment was going back to being a point guard. So I can definitely, I feel comfortable in both positions.
working relationship with Steven was from Golden State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to China, you've done it so many times now. Do you sort of feel like it's regular and just part of your preseason protocol, I guess?
This will be my third time to China in 4 months. So when you say routine and regular, I'll definitely be walking through the airports. Like, yeah, I've definitely seen these terminals before, and I'll be familiar with the area. I'll know what to do. And actually, Shenzhen, I haven't really spent much time in, but Shanghai, I've spent a lot of time in. And, so it'll be fun. It'll definitely be fun, and most of the time you go back during the summer, you have promotional things, but to actually play games there, it's gonna be sweet.
What was the inspiration for the big YouTube video just recently, and what have any of your NBA teammates or people you know, what was the response from them?
They loved it. I think across the board, some of the NBA guys, we all think it would be really funny to have like one that wasn't so, we touched on areas that, we avoided topics that obviously you can't talk about in a YouTube video, and that's funny. But then for me, the inspiration, my buddy came up with the idea, and he kind of talked about how there's so many differences, whether it's, racial differences, cultural differences, upbringing, being from the West Coast, going to Harvard, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many differences. Like, you get just this diverse group, and how funny some of the interactions can be. And so we tried to highlight. That.
But this is nothing new for you. I mean, pranking your mom and the workout video you did, where you're. Well, do you have a favorite video, and why? Why do you do these? Like, where does the motivation come to do?
The biggest thing for me is, people. I feel like people often get branded a certain way based on, whether it's through media or through endorsements or whatever. And so when people think of like, oh, you went to Harvard, you're an Asian American, and you play in the NBA, and they see your demeanor on the court, that's like all they see. But for me off the court, I feel like there's a lot of other things I'm interested in, and I honestly feel like people see us as like these we're just these amazing people, but we're so normal in so many different ways, and there's all my teammates are so normal in so many different ways, and so this is kind of bringing out that aspect that the fans might not get a chance to see, and it's also unfiltered content where like I can do whatever I want with it and I release it, and there's no behind the scenes motivation or anything other than just to show the fans what it's like.
Do you have a favorite prank or anything that you've done?
Favorite prank? Probably this past year in Taiwan when I did the trainer one. I mean, the problem is there was only GoPros in certain areas, but there's so much other funny stuff that like if we had secret cameras like set up in certain spots, like it would have been really funny. Even doing it, like to not like laugh. Like when I was like jumping around telling the guy to warm up like that, like I couldn't even imagine what he was thinking, and it was like so hard for me not to laugh. I was like having a blast doing it.
But you had to duck away and laugh at the time.
There were definitely times where I was like, dude, I can't hold it in. But like just to actually go through it, because I was actually pretty nervous at times, because you just really don't want to get recognized, otherwise it like kind of ruins the video. And like one person might recognize it and then go tell the rest of the gym, so like I was kind of like nervous about that.
Do you said you have other interests outside of specifically sport-related? Do you have other sports or teams that you follow?
I follow the NFL a lot. Now that I'm here, it's like might as well root for the Panthers. I'm not going to say I'm a diehard Panthers fan like from birth. I don't really have a team in the NFL, as I more just follow certain players. And then hobbies out the court. I love like playing video games. I love like being going fishing, being on the water. Whether it's beaches or whatever.
What have you enjoyed most about the city of Charlotte?
I would just say really the people, and honestly, I guess a lot of it is the organization, but also just meeting people on the street or at restaurants when I go eat or whatever. Just very, very low key, which is nice coming from kind of big cities. So it does remind me a little bit of California.
Have you been easily recognized when you go out in the city?
Honestly, of any city that I've ever lived in, this is by far the least recognition. So it's very easy for me to, you know, I go to the, and even when I do, that's the other thing is like they're not like it's just like, hey man, like good luck this season. All right, see you. And I'm like, oh wow.
At the Harvard Club?
Huh?
Not even at the Harvard Club?
Oh, I haven't been there. Yeah.